Hey everybody, I'm David Atkins, target individual, and I'm meeting with my friend Jason. He's a target individual, been targeted since June uh, of 2022. I've seen him in many Zoom calls. I've heard him speak. I know he's a real TI. There's no doubt about that. He wants to give his testimony today, and he's been asking me for a while now. Um, so I've just been getting hit too hard to get around and try to do anything on Zoom. So I'm having a little break today, and I mean, I'm still getting hit, but I'm having a break. So I'm just going to ask Jason some questions and let Jason give his testimony. He's a very he's been hit, as you can see from his face right before he came on here. Them red marks are direct energy hits. If you're not used to knowing what direct energy attacks are, he said he started getting heated up and hit right before he came on here. And so I'm going to ask him questions. He's very knowledgeable and a very positive human being, in my opinion. You know, we all have our moments, but you know, he's uplifted me in certain times, whether he knows it or not. And I was having a bad day, and he just gave me some encouragement. But Jason, I'm going to just start out with how long do you believe you've been a TI, and what do you think caused it?
Well, what do I think caused it? I really don't know exactly what would have caused it because I really believe that in the big picture of things, I believe everyone is to some extent. To what level, if they don't know about it, then it's not that high of an issue. So I don't know about myself and why it happened. I don't know. I contemplated about that, but I'm not nothing
Right.
anything special or anything like that. Um, Probably I can almost think about maybe 2001 when I started working for corrections, and then because some fun because at that time uh I started getting these intrusive thoughts about stuff that I didn't have issues with, and before this whole job and everything like that, I was pretty mentally sound, confident, didn't have issues, stuff like that. Then after that, like I kind of had a wreck. But if you don't know about these things, you don't know about the technology or if the government or anybody would be capable of doing this sort of thing to a human being, then you just are going with the narrative that they always tell you is, and that's some mental health thing, some issue that you can have fixed by going to the doctor or having to see a psychiatrist or whatever. So I did that for at least almost 20 years. And then like real weird stuff happened like 10 years ago because I actually got addicted to Vicodin, right? And I had an issue with that for a little bit. And um what happened was that like I couldn't get my medication and I flipped out, right? And my ex-wife, she didn't like that very much. And and I didn't feel at the time that I was actually doing too much. I just hit the wall of the house, the outside of the house. But she sped off, and it was a big deal. And the cops were called, and she just really wanted them to check on me to make sure I was okay, because at the time we all thought if there was something mentally wrong with me. And so they came, and then I get this letter in the mail saying something about I have to go to court. But during that period, I'd have random police officers come to my house saying asking me one time, like, is there a 15-year-old boy in your house? I had a call that there's a 15-year-old boy in your house. I was like, no, there's not. And then another time like that, a gang of them came in my house and just went all the way through my whole house. And they wouldn't let me move at all. Right. But then, there was nothing there. And, just the general harassment like that. And, you don't think of these things as being some sort of op or some sort of targeting thing because, if you're like anything like me, you believe the world and you believe you trusted like government officials and the narrative that has been pushed, and you are you don't think anything else, and you wouldn't think that someone would do something like that. So yeah, but then yeah, so about yeah, that's basically about the extent of what I think it might have been. So yeah.
So it sounded like somebody uh that sounded like the smear campaign phase of your targeting. somebody was probably smearing your name, trying to say something about you bad. And
Yeah.
that's what made the police kept checking on you. Because I went through a
Oh,
smear
yeah.
campaign. We have to go through smear campaigns. I mean,
Yeah.
people just looking at me like with a despicable look. And I'm like, and
Yeah.
gang stalkers. And I'm like, why y'all looking at me like this, man? I'm not a bad guy, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
y'all always wonder what they say about us, you know? Don't you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'm sure they say some awful stuff. And I also know that when it comes to like legal, like law enforcement, stuff like that, there doesn't have to be a smear campaign for them to harass you. Like they're on it.
Right.
Like they're part of it. Like so you can't, I mean, yeah, it's probably true that I did have some smear campaign, but that generally be more affected by my neighbors and things like that. But yeah. So yeah. Uh, that's basically the weird stuff right there. And then I actually like my family unit, like my side of the family, just
So you
kind of
knew
like
you were
dissolved.
targeted at that point? You found out you were
No, no, I
targeted?
didn't. No, I
Oh,
didn't even know anything about it. Like, no, I didn't think anything about that. Like, that never crossed my mind. It wasn't until June of 2022, when all the real crazy stuff happened, that I started looking into it after I got settled down, and I found out that this thing exists, and I knew
so
very
what
little.
what incident happened that made you realize it
Okay, so
in June 2022?
I moved to a different county, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for this person I met, and we were going out for a while. It was pretty crazy moments there, and we kind of had a really bad breakup, and so I went downhill, and I was and I was just doing dumb stuff, and uh, I was working at this one place, like a like a special needs adults family home, right? And I had a coworker that said he had a place for me that I could rent, and it was all good. And the crazy thing about this is like you have to trust yourself, and you have to have trust. God will speak to you, right? You gotta listen sometimes, because like he was doing some stuff, and I was thinking to myself, because I could be like sometimes arrogant because I usually am right about stuff, and I'm pretty cocky about like my mental whereabout about things, and I was seeing these signs of him about like there's something up with him, and he's a little off, and maybe I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing. But then I was like, but I was so cocky about myself that I can handle it. I know what to do. And so I went ahead and moved into his house. And it basically started from the get go. I was like doing just like these annoying things at first. And, just
Noise
trying to,
campaigns?
no, like annoying
Oh,
things. Yeah, he was just doing annoying things, asking me for money when he didn't need money, and just a bunch of stuff. And he did. I'll definitely tell you then, like in June 2022, when I was at that house and I was working at that place, that I know for a fact there was a smear campaign on me, for real. That one I know that, like, because I had this, everyone has ability to kind of read people, and you have to ask God for discernment. And and I'm kind of really good at micro expressions. And so I would walk into the place where I work, and my boss, my supervisor, he just couldn't hide much of himself. He would never say anything to you, but there was something said to me because I was trying to buy this car about me, because I was trying to buy this car from another coworker, and then all of a sudden he opted out and wouldn't let me buy the car. And so yeah, that smear campaign happened. So that's basically, and then, so you want to know like how I knew the targeting? Like that's the
yeah.
moment,
Like,
right?
what
So,
stuff led up to what led up to you realizing, hey, something's going on here. This
okay.
just is
Yeah.
not normal.
Yeah. So I I first was noticing my phone was acting funny, right?
Right.
And then my landlord was off the chain. And I mean, the guy was off the chain, just doing some nonsense, and got me so worked up because I thought that it wasn't just him, that it was some thugs or something like that that were trying to get me out of the house. And so I was hearing things outside. And so I got worked up, and I bounced out of there, left all my stuff except for a bag of clothes and a few things I wanted, and my cat,
So
and
what did they do
jumped
to
to,
make you leave like that? Were
like,
they text messages
so
on your phone?
no, no, nothing like that. So like there was a window outside, I mean, there's a window, and I had it cracked a little bit. And like before this whole thing, like the dude that rented me the house, he said to me that he knew this dude in the neighborhood that was this, drug dealer or whatever. And so anyway, uh, and they all try to do things to you to lure you to act on how they want you to act, and they'll put little suggestions in here and they'll lead you through things. And they led me to believe that I was being going to be harmed from these thugs or whatever. And so I left because I kept on hearing like them directly talking about me and what they're going to do to me and stuff like that. And then I called the cops a few times. The cops,
So do
didn't
you
do
think they
anything.
were just talking to freak you out? Because I've
To,
experienced the
oh,
same stuff you experienced.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
what I thought
no,
it was at first. And I
mm,
still kind of think it is, all these threats I used to receive, and then they
mm.
put B2K telling me I'm going to be kidnapped, and boom, boom, boom. And so, do you think the people talked about all that stuff and let you overhear it on purpose to freak you out? That's what I was just wondering.
Oh, I'm
Because I
sure.
heard
Like, yeah,
somebody talking. I was in a halfway house in
mm,
2014, and oh no, 2012, and I overheard them talking about, well,
mm,
once we hit him with the trank dart, he's gone. We got him. And I heard him.
yeah,
I was standing outside the door,
yeah, yeah.
but they never done it. So I think I think they were really trying to freak me out.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt. Because, the thing about this is that there's physical things that happen to us, but it's a lot of it's like 98% of it's mental, right? At least,
Right.
especially when they first start doing it, the overt part.
Besides
So,
the
yeah.
weapons is physical.
Well, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like that part is physical for sure. And so, yeah, and I'm not maybe not 98%. It's probably a little uh less
And
than
never
that
now and then you will get
sometimes.
a target that gets murdered. My friend got
Oh
murdered.
yeah,
Her name was
no
Lynette
doubt about
Castle.
that. Yeah, no doubt about that. So,
That is rare, but Lynette Castle, she lived
mm,
in uh she's lived in Vallejo, California. She got murdered in
mm,
May 2019. Rest in peace, Lynette Castle. I talked to her every day for 2 years.
mm,
And she was posting her gang stalker's picture everywhere on this dude named Charles Thorpe. I'll never forget his name. And everybody was laughing at her. Well, when she came up dead, they found her in a trunk, cut up in a in the dude that she'd been posting his face. They found it in
mm,
his house. He's doing
yeah,
25 years. He ended up getting 25 years. But then
yeah,
somebody put in the comments, why are you laughing now? Are you laughing at her
mm,
now? Because
yeah,
they were
yeah.
laughing at her saying she was crazy. She was saying she was being stalked and stuff.
Yeah, that's all intentional. Like they lead that I guarantee you, like we have been lied to since birth. And the narrative that's been fed to us, of course, like this whole mental health thing, and so the mental health itself is a joke. Like the how they do the diagnosis and stuff like that
Yeah, the
is
DSM.
pseudo. It's pseudo. It has no valid like backing, like any physical traits to show that someone would have something like this. And how they go about doing diagnoses and stuff like that is nefarious. And so no, like mental health is used as a weapon. There's no doubt about that. And so like once you get paid like that and everyone thinks that people have these issues, like the how they try to portray stuff, then of course people are gonna think you're funny. People are gonna think that you're crazy because that's what they're led to believe because they're doing the same thing I did and you did and everybody else did. And that's trust them. Trust that they would tell you the truth. Trust that they would say, be honest with you and wish well for you and not have some other agenda to either, doing whatever they're doing now. So no, yeah, mental health is used as a weapon. So society is acceptable to that because it doesn't matter if you're watching a movie, if you're listening to music, you are being influenced all the time and you don't even know
Yeah.
it because none of this stuff that we consume that we thought was entertainment is really entertainment. Like, no, not really, because there's always something there, some kind of thing to push. And, like for me, I firmly believe that at this current moment in our situation in life, like the political system itself is basically like a WWE kind of thing, WWF or whatever kind of thing. Like it's just a wrestling match. and one's a bad guy, one's a good guy. They'll switch it up, but there isn't no real change because if you not notice, every person that's ever been elected, they promise all these things, but the
It's all
things
a
don't go.
show.
Huh?
It's all a show.
It is. And so, yeah, I'm not surprised about that. And of course, I don't even know how I would react before I knew this stuff. Because a
All
lot
right.
of the things,
I,
like, yeah, so, yeah.
I was going to ask you, Jason. So there had to have been more going on than just hearing your buddies talk about something happening to
No,
you.
oh, yeah. No, no,
I'm
no.
talking
So,
about
yeah,
to realize where you were targeted. When you
yeah.
realize,
So,
hey, I'm a target individual. I can relate with these targeted. And like when you found out about targeted individuals, and
uh,
I don't know, just put like give me some examples of targeting that ended
yeah.
up leading you to finding out what you know that you were a target individual.
Okay. So, when I got out of the house, because they frightened me out of the house and I went to a hotel, that's when the banger started. That's when the stuff hit the fan because I was literally chased, right? Like throughout this area of Lakewood, and cars would be like the big old revved up engines would be coming by, and the blinkers would come like when I would be on one side of the street or whatever, it would blink on my side or wherever I went, and thuggish looking guys, like I'm telling you, like from Venezuela kind of looking guys would be around everywhere. And you know, everywhere I went, they would be doing it, they'd be doing this thing, and they chased me around for a long time. And I went to the hospital, they were there, and
I can
that's when I
definitely
know.
relate.
So yeah, they did all that stuff. They made me, you know, think like something, and see, and also like it just, your mind is a powerful thing. And once they get you going with your mind, you will
Hmm.
imagine what they want you to think. Like they'll get you to think what they want you to think. So they had me thinking like I'm gonna be killed by these thugs, and that they're gonna kill me like in some kind of crazy way. And I got to do something. And see, at that moment, still, I was still trusting the system. I was still trusting our law enforcement. I was still trusting the people that I thought were supposed to protect me.
And they're
So I kept,
participating the whole
yeah. And so
time.
I would call and I seek for help. I would go to the medical, the hospitals, seeking for help because these are the places I thought were safe. But no, they just gaslighted me. They
Yep.
caused more trouble. They didn't do anything. I actually ended up in jail for like 30 days because they got me to break into a house to get away from them and I hid into this like little basement area over. And actually, I literally did try to kill myself. Like I took all the medication I had, and for some reason I lived, right? And I
Hmm.
woke up,
I've
and
done that
I
a
got
couple of
arrested.
times.
Yeah, so I did all that, and then I got arrested. I went to jail. I had to do a bunch of stuff, and I didn't. I actually dropped the charges and everything like that. But you know, it was a lot, and so yeah, that was the nonsense that started me to think this is what's going on with me. And then like the directed the energy web and stuff, right? So during my chasing, um, I felt this pressure, and I just didn't know what it was. Like you don't know what these things are, and in my mind, I'm thinking it's like some sort of like sniper rifle, or I don't know what I said, some sniper rifle, like trying to zoom in on me to shoot me, right? So every time I
Yeah.
felt it, I would move and I would move, and it just got me so worked up. The thing is, I need to tell people that about targeted and stuff like that is that you can't lose your cool regardless, because once they get you to start thinking with emotions, once they start to get you thinking about with fear, that's when they got you. That's when they get you to do stupid stuff. That's when they get you to not make wise decisions. And I will tell you this, like I am Christian and God did not give me a spirit of fear. Like out of everything about this stuff is that fear is your enemy.
Yeah,
And
when I first started getting gang stalked, and the
uh,
first time they laid it on real heavy, I didn't know what stalking was. I was like you, I thought people were trying to get me.
yeah,
I drove from Tennessee to Alabama.
yeah,
Then they started making me smell gas in my car. So I jumped out the car real quick. I thought I put it in park. The car went in a ditch. That was the
mm,
first when they really turned it up.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I remember I was on the side of the road. I had ran out of gas, and just so happens the woman that's been uh, following me, help participating in gang stalking, says, I got a tank of gas in the back. You need some gas?
okay,
Well, this is coming to me now that you're telling. All right, so go on. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Oh
Certain
no,
memories are blocked out because I was so traumatized going through it. So
mm,
sometimes they come to me when other people's telling their stories. So
yeah,
I know you can probably relate on that because
yeah,
when I'm feared for my life, when I was in the zone like you were, I'm
mhm,
thinking, and I'm getting chased. I'm ready to act out in violence, defend myself at all costs and everything.
mhm,
I could have hurt somebody innocent, you know,
yeah.
because I was like you, freaked out.
Yeah, well, you know what I actually did? What I did do is that like I came to terms with my death and I just prayed. I just asked God to forgive me for my sins and I just accepted it and that was it. I wasn't about to like do anything else about that. So
See, I
yeah,
done the
because I
same thing you did, except I tried to commit suicide right after that.
yeah,
I accepted death. I said, bam, I cut my throat.
uh
So,
yeah,
man, I didn't
yeah,
know this about your story, Jason. I'm sorry, man. I
yeah.
can just relate with you big time,
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. And you know what though? I do have to say like suicide is never an option,
man. Mm-mm.
even though you and I tried it or but didn't succeed, in hindsight it's not an option. It's not that about a win-lose thing. It's that we do have a God that's greater than all this stuff that goes on, like
Amen.
and the thing is that is that you even during this trial, even during this trouble I'm going through, I see him working in my life all the time, right? All the time. And, I do all the time. And, it's not gone away. And I don't have relief a lot of the times, right? But he's definitely giving me strength. He's definitely giving me I don't have fear. Uh, it doesn't mean that they can't catch me up. I can't do stupid stuff and they won't get me triggered. But still, though, like you have to believe that, regardless if it doesn't end by the time you die, that it will be justice will be served and things will be he will do the right thing for the righteous. Like there is no doubt about that. Like if this is his will for right now, this to happen, because this is a big picture thing. This is not just you and me and the community that we have.
When
Like everyone will be subjected to this. If all goes through and they get what they want, everyone will be subjected to this. We are just these people that they're trying to evaluate to see what they can do for the rest of the world. And it's heart-wrenching, but if that's the case, that means that Jesus is going to be coming back, and that means that people will be at peace and that we will all have glory. The ones that are righteous, the ones that are willing to be uh uh faithful and believe in him. Because I respect people that don't believe in God, but I have to tell you this. I do love people. Like I love people, right? I want the best for people. My whole entire time that I've done this targeted thing, that I've been in this targeted thing and meeting people in the community, my goal has been to try to find ways to negate the directed energy weapons for people. And I will do trials on myself and I will try to figure out something to see what works. Everyone tells me that there's nothing you could do, that shielding doesn't work. I don't care. I keep on trying different things. I
are
try
they
things
messing with his
outside of things.
internet?
Huh?
And Jason?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna start. I paused the recording, so hold on, I'm gonna resume it
Yeah. Okay.
because I couldn't. We can't. You're froze up on the screen. They're probably trying to mess.
You're frozen right now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
They just messed with my Zoom call, so I'm hoping I got the other half of your recording. Um, man, that is crazy. You seen that, didn't you? They
Yeah.
up. They logged me all the way out of Zoom, and then all of a sudden your picture popped back up.
Yeah, they do that stuff all the time.
What I was going to ask you is, did you have friends and family, and did you lose all that? When did they? How did they isolate you? Because you know they isolate every target. What was their strategy to isolate you?
Oh yeah, I was
And what
isolated.
advice would you give to TIs who find themselves isolated? That's good.
So for one, to
Got some
try to
questions.
how to I can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Now again, yeah, now
Oh, okay.
again.
I said Holly's got some questions for you too later, but
Yeah,
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 how do you deal with isolation? How did you become isolated? Because I think that's an important part because a lot of targets end up isolating alone and start freaking out. What do I
yeah,
do? My family's turn. I don't got no friends no more. What do I
yeah.
do? So
What?
could you tell me about how you became isolated?
Oh, I keep it isolated. One, like, so I think that like uh you know myself didn't quite have the greatest uh history because I was kind of manipulative, I kind of done some nonsense, very selfish individual. So I think it was easier for them to isolate me. So I recommend anybody that loves someone, stop being a jerk and actually care about the other people that are around you. And then because I have two kids, I have an ex-wife, I have uh I have my ex-girlfriend, and basically like my kids, they wouldn't talk to me for a little bit, and my ex-wife would talk to me. Yeah. But so I didn't get totally like no one was in my corner because my ex-girlfriend has been around the whole time. And so I didn't get completely isolated, but to some degree from my family and all that stuff. Yes, my kids, I didn't wasn't able to talk to them for about a year. Um,
So
you
all of
know,
a sudden your family and them just backed off from you, right? Because
yeah, yeah,
I'm just wondering because that's what happened with me. Like family and friends just backed off with me, and they would start
yeah,
like avoiding me like the plague. And I'm like, what in the world? You
yeah,
know, so it's just insane
yeah,
stuff they do.
yeah. Well, yeah, it did happen to me too. And my recommendation, so
Yeah.
what I didn't do this while I was isolated really at first. It wasn't until later on, but I really do think you need to seek God. You need to actually start having a relationship with Him because even if you are isolated, you do have God present and He can be sufficient. Like He'll get you through the fire. And so, uh, uh, when you're coping with that and you feel alone, pray, right? Like, and I know it's hard because you don't have this like tangible person sitting beside you, comforting you and stuff. And for me, I recommend got to get mentally strong. Like, and that sounds kind of harsh, but you have to because, like, if you don't, that's when they get the best out of you. They will get everything that they want and desire from you if you don't become mentally strong. Like, if you
Let me ask
succumb
you
to all
this:
the nonsense, yeah.
a lot of targets used to follow God, and all
Mm.
this bad stuff has happened to them, and now they gave up on God. What would you say to them if they're listening right now?
So you know what? We pray, we ask
A
for
lot
things,
because you
right?
know I was mad at God for years. I was like, man, I'm not even going to read the Bible. I'm not even following that no more because I'm
Yeah,
like, why would God allow me to have? You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
if
no.
those people are listening right now, what would you want to tell them to help?
So I'll tell you this. So like, you when we do pray, it does have to be God's will, right? And you got to get accustomed to not right now, right? You got to get accustomed to not right now. And my recommendation is when you do pray, pray for stuff that's internal. Pray for the things that you need to do, right? I will tell you this. I was mad at God way before my targeting stuff because of my childhood, right? Because I had a horrible childhood, really bad childhood. But I'm gonna tell you, like, if you don't think God exists, uh, that childhood that I had totally prepared me for this moment in my life. Like they tried to do some nonsense to me that happened to me as a child, didn't phase me because it was like, boom, I don't care about that. I don't care about that. Everything that I have my whole life basically has prepared me for this nonsense now. Who I am right now is because God has prepared me. God may not be working the way you think he should be working. He may not get you out of this. But like in the book of Daniel and and he got put in the lion cage, and he got put in the lion's cage, right? God didn't stop that, but he still was able to survive, and God was still present with
Amen.
him. So like, yeah, you may not get out of the fire, you may not get out of the lion's den, but also though, you have to understand, David, he killed a lion and he killed a bear before he met Goliath. God prepares you for everything, regardless of how much hardship you're going to have. He's going to get you through this. Like, days are hard, you struggle, and you don't know why this is happening to you, right? But the thing is like he loves us. This is not his intention. He's not wanting us to be in pain. He's not wanting us to suffer. It's not his will that we're suffering. But there's a big thing going on. This is a big thing. And I have to say this: if there's this amount of evil in this world that can do this kind of thing to people, wouldn't you think that there is a God that is that opposite, right? That there has to be a God because uh and and he will care for you. You may not know what he's doing on the background. You may not know how he's protecting you, but those that have a roof over their head, those that are able to have a meal, those that are able to sleep at night, those that are able to wake up the next day, God's still there for you. I don't know how to explain like how to deal with the the direct energy weapons and the pain that you endure from that, or the gang stalking, the mental anguish you deal with that stuff, right? Because that's hard. Because you're thinking, God, you love me, you love me. Why are you letting me do that? Why are you letting them do this to me? Why don't you just let this be stopped? Well, that I'm his understanding is way higher than mine, and if it's going on with us, it's because like he's coming, and he's going to make things righteous and good again. And
Right.
we
Us
just
as
have to be
target
patient.
individuals are also more grateful. Like I was so blacklisted, Jason. The homeless shelters wouldn't feed me, wouldn't let me
Um,
stay.
yeah.
So, you know, I remember one day this dude picked me up and he's like, you hungry? Get in. I got in. He said, how many
Mm,
Big Macs you want?
mm,
And I was like, well, just just enough because I can't walk around
mm,
with it. But I was so happy to get that meal, so grateful.
mm.
I'm praised God and sang a praise to him that day. I remember because I was
Uh,
starving that bad. So I
yeah.
really think, God provides right at the right time. May
Yeah.
not be when we want it,
Provisions. Yeah.
and he
Provisions.
may not be
Provisions.
able to come
Provisions.
down here and save us from targeting, but he'll get us through it, and there'll
Yeah.
be
He
a
will.
reward in heaven if we follow it through the end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. Because uh, I'll tell you, like, of course, I want this to end, and I want to have a normal kind of life that you would call normal, whatever. But I am grateful that I'm awake, and I can see things that maybe people are not are not privy to, because you know what, like, I see things. I'm not going to be fooled when this all ends, and if it means that Jesus is coming back and things like that, and, you know at least I wasn't one of the ones that were fooled, because I am awake. I see these things. I see the evil in everything that we used to think was just normal or just something good to do. And so I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for being awake about that. So
Yeah, and then it's like I tell people, well, what if I'm right about God and you're
mm,
wrong? What's it going to
yeah,
hurt to follow a higher power
yeah,
and read the Bible, and you know what I'm saying, and at least walk on a spiritual path? Because you can read the Bible all day long and know the
uh,
Bible and stuff, and be in sin. Just because you know the Bible don't make you nothing. You got to apply it. Study to show thyself approved,
yeah,
type deal. And I've been slipping lately on my Bible reading and stuff, not like I should, and my prayer life, but it could be better. Anybody's could always get better. But it's like I tell them, what if I'm right and you're wrong? And it's not about right and wrong, but look where you're going if you are wrong about God being not being real. If you're
yeah,
saying
true.
God's not real and you might and you're wrong, look at your fate. Why are you
Well,
willing to burn instead of just,
I
you know?
I could tell you this. So if everyone if a TI is talking about this, then they all know that we've been lied to for a long time, right? So what is the main narrative that's been around for a long time? Basically they've been pushing in schools, they've been pushing on movies, they've been pushing everywhere that Jesus doesn't exist. Jesus was a man, Jesus was something else. So if they lied to us about everything basically in our whole life, from school to movies you watch, from everything, and they're telling you Jesus doesn't exist, wouldn't that make you think that he does? I mean,
Yeah.
simple as that. Like, you
Well, there's a
think you're
good
smart?
book.
Well,
There's
yeah,
a
go
good
ahead.
book out there. Anybody who's wanting to who's curious about if Jesus existed or not and don't believe. It's by
Mm,
Lee Strobel. It's called The Case
yeah,
for Christ.
yeah,
And this man was an atheist and he set out to prove himself right and he ended up believing. So, but I'm not
yeah,
trying to
yeah.
make this about a religious meeting, but
No, no, no. Go ahead. You go
we can
ahead.
go back to
Ask me
Target. And
whatever.
Holly's got a question for you, Jason, if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't mind.
yeah. Go ahead.
He can hear you.
Hey, Jason.
Hi.
Hey, can you see me?
Again, yeah.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
When I first started getting targeted, the first thing that happened was I had a high pitched frequency in my ear all of a
Mm.
sudden out of the blue. Did you get that?
Oh, the tinnitus stuff, right? That's
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So the
I
first
do
thing that
notice it.
happened.
Well, I don't know if it's the first thing that happened to me, but I do notice it now. Like before I got on here, I was being hit, and like my ears were ringing, and so yeah, I do get that, and I do notice it quite a bit, and I kind of it does correlate with the energy weapon stuff, because once I hear that really going, they're really going hard on me. So yeah, yeah,
Did
so,
you notice another thing that happened to me? My legs twitched constantly and
mm,
my arms twitched uncontrollably. Did you notice
yeah.
any of that?
No, nothing like that really. No, mine has been more like a surging kind of like electrical pain for the most part, and
Like
sometimes like a chill.
vibration throughout your body, huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's basically
Do
it.
you notice
So,
mine gets worse when I close my eyes to go to sleep. My
um,
vibrations get 10 times worse and the shocks in the back of my head get like if I close my eyes, even the rest of my eyes, my vibrations
mm,
and shocks get 10 times worse. I was wondering if you
uh,
experienced that.
I think they go through cycles. I think it depends on your emotional state, because if you're fearful to go to sleep because of that, then that's when they'll start doing it. Because I remember in the beginning of that directed energy stuff, once I turned off the light in my room, they would start really hard, right? And so I kind of got fearful of turning off the light. Well, then I just started accepting the whole situation. So I don't know, I know that there's this thing called learned hopelessness, and which basically you tolerate uh, torture and you just accept it and you kind of lay back and take it. And for me, mentally, it doesn't matter what time they start doing that or when they start doing that. I don't have too much of an emotional response, and I don't feel either or about it. I don't like it, and but I tolerate it. So my stuff happens periodically or basically all the time. At this moment in time, they've been going so hard at me for months now as far as this directed energy stuff. Like, I used to get breaks. I don't really get breaks no more about stuff. But you don't see, the thing is like, you won't see me talk about that on X or Twitter, or you won't hear me talk about anything like that, because I'm not trying to convey that sort of stuff. Like, um, I don't want, I don't feel like anybody could help me uh, with that. And
Right. Like
it's good
sometimes
that,
yeah. So that's why you don't post your business on Twitter.
no,
You don't
I
post what's
don't. It's
going
not,
on.
and I don't think that those that do is lesser than or wrong or anything like that. Because you need to express how you
I
feel. But
think, I think they do it kind of like a diary or a log for proof.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. And you know what? That's good for them. For me, it's not therapeutic, because
Right.
there's nothing that they can do, anybody can do, that will stop this. And so I basically, for the most part, I don't speak about it too much unless it's actually directly asked from me, because you know, uh, that they get me sometimes. They get me because I called you that one time, and I was talking to you about like the sources of stuff and everything, and I
Yeah.
just moved into this new place, and boom, Like, they don't really gang stalk me too much. I mean, they do. Don't get me wrong, they do. But they also, they have this little algorithm that kind of understands what you're going to react to and all that stuff. And, basically they know me. They know that stuff probably is not going to be really fruitful for them. So they really don't do too much. But
So
they
when you
do a
first
little,
started getting gang stalked though, did you react a lot worse than you do now? Your
yeah, yeah,
reactions are getting better, huh?
yeah. Well, yeah, because
Did
like
you
you
ever
don't know.
engage in did you ever engage and like make contact with one of them, like start talking crazy, had an outbreak at them?
No, no, no.
Oh, see, I'm that bad, man. But I'm just trying to learn how to deal with stuff differently. But yeah, that's how bad
Mhm.
I was. Like, I just can't stand people following me around looking and all that. So I'll be like,
Yeah,
what you looking at, man? Or what you
yeah,
doing?
yeah,
No.
yeah. Well,
How did
that's
you
the
deal
thing.
with it when you first started? Is what I'm saying. What mistakes did you make in dealing with it when it first started? And how are you better at dealing with it now? You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, well, it's a 180. Like when it first started, I freaked out. I called my ex-wife crying and all kinds of
And
stuff.
that was a mistake though, right? So you're saying
Yeah,
don't freak out.
yeah,
Because I'm
yeah.
trying to,
Don't freak out.
yeah,
Yeah, so
okay.
yeah, I freaked out. Yeah. Now, like, I have to like keep it up. Well, it's kind of like tiresome to be on it all the time, but I just be mentally on it, like be mentally prepared for anything possibly that could happen to you and be mentally prepared to take whatever they are going to give you. So like, because this is a good segue for this. So, Brian too, is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah,
talks
he
about
sent me a
game.
message this morning.
He talks about game theory, right? And he's not wrong about game theory, but I want to help people out with this because the thing is like the way he speaks of it, it makes
Yeah,
it,
he's got a deep. He talks big words. So if you
well,
could
yeah, he
explain
does
it,
talk big
explain it
words.
how you can explain it, because I want to
I'm
hear a
going to.
simpler term.
Okay, so there's a thing that Brian too knows a lot, but the thing is about him is that he also is still engaging in what they want. And so when he's talking about game theory, he's making it complicated because game theory is played every day. You play it, she plays it, we play it every day. Every human plays it because it's simple as a stoplight, right? Or a four-way stop. We all choose to stop for the next person. That's game theory because you're choosing to abide by one rule that's set for another person that is abiding by the same rule. You can choose to go when you're not supposed to, but you stay there. That's game theory.
But
You're
the
playing
move
the
is
game.
countered every time.
Yes, and so but you see the thing is like with when Brian too is talking about like if there's ops around and all that stuff everywhere he goes, the thing is like okay, well if that's the case and if that's true, you get to play the game however you want if you because you are a player. So if you know that, then treat them like that. Do make them don't like do like violence stuff like that, but be funny, do something stupid, make them look foolish. Don't just sit there and let them do their nonsense with you. Like you get to play the game how you want because we do have these set rules in game theory, right? Well, once
Hmm.
they start doing this targeting stuff, those rules don't exist no more. Like
But the
my rules are,
supercomputer is always going to counter with a response to keep you in emotional turmoil.
oh no,
We
no,
choose to play.
that's what I'm trying to say is that like you get to choose how you play. So for me, like I'm not in emotional turmoil a lot of the times. I'm really not. I'm pretty sound. I'm pretty stable emotionally. And so the reason that is because I choose to play the game the way I want to. I don't. I abide by my own rules. I
That's
don't
a good.
necessarily. I don't react the way they want me to react. Or and then maybe there's sometimes I do. Like I'm not saying I'm great at it all the time, but sometimes I
But you
do.
have to play the game, though. That's the thing
You
about
do,
hyper. You
yeah.
have to play it.
And what I have to tell you though, game theory is basically this. And so it's a set of rules, and obviously there's a counteract. There's always a counter to everything you do. But also though, the goal about game theory, the only way it ends is if you choose to not play anymore, or you 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 kind of maybe lose all your resources, right? But as long as you continue to play, and as long as you have resources, you're still in the game. So don't get overwhelmed about it because you're still in the game because this game goes on forever. And if you make it so that you understand that it's as simple as like you being polite to your girlfriend when you don't want to be because there's a rule set there, right? That's simple as that. It's not just because there's a supercomputer trying to uh, regulate what you're doing mentally. It's
Yeah, but I'm
because,
like saying like a street theater scenario. If
yeah.
you choose to react to that in a negative way, you're starting off losing the game.
Oh yeah, you do. You
Or
will
if you
lose the game.
handle it in a positive way, they may set up a different skit that will trip you out and trigger you. You see what I'm saying? They always
Yeah.
try to counteract with something more to try
That's
to
why you
get
have
an
that.
emotional response out of you.
Yeah, they will. So they basically know basically everyone's weaknesses, right? And I got some, you got some, everyone got some. That's when you have to focus on your weaknesses. You can't focus on your strengths. Like you have to really be self-aware and understand your weaknesses. And so if you understand your weaknesses, then they can't get a reaction out of you because you know you're about to get caught up. You're about to get in this game and they're about to do something to you. So you got to check yourself and regulate right then and there. Like once I feel like I'm being pushed to a point where they want me to go, I regulate it and I stop and I don't go there. Like there's times I get caught up, right? Because they'll get this little thing going in my head on repeat and they'll make me think all this stuff and they'll just like repeat, repeat. Once I notice, see, I'm at the point now that I can distinguish between my own personal being and who I am versus something induced, something that is encouraged and stuff like that. And it might catch me for a minute or maybe a little while, but I'll eventually get out of it. I'll just try to move on and do something else. I'm not perfect and they definitely can catch me up. And I'm not saying that they won't catch me up because they will. Like you got to be humble about this and understand that you ain't the greatest person on the planet and you don't know everything. And so you got to be humble because I think what they do with me, this is one of my weaknesses, is that I am intellectually, I'm pretty intelligent about things and socially and, like educational wise. And so I get kind of conceited because I do know a lot. I do know a lot and I'm right about a lot of things. But that gets me caught up because I think because I get right about a lot of things, I get caught up on doing something, thinking I'm right, and I was absolutely wrong. So they do that to me for sure.
Right. And I'm going to
But
stop real quick. And this is the definition of game theory for anybody watching who hasn't heard from: a situation in which a player will continue with their chosen strategy, having no incentive to deviate from it after taking in consideration the opponent's strategy. Studies interactive decision making where the outcome for each participant or player depends on the actions of all. I don't know
yeah,
if they understand that, but
yeah,
I was just trying to give that out there, what we're talking about on game theory.
yeah.
You can.
So I also tell people you got to have discernment and stuff because uh, what I've noticed since I've been in this community is that you got to take information in, right? But you don't have to keep it all. Spit out the sticks and get what you need from it because I noticed that nobody that so far, including myself in this, knows this whole program and how it actually all works in general. Everyone has tidbits, everyone has good knowledge,
Mhm.
but they
Nobody
don't
knows it
know
all.
they don't know it all. And the thing is like, but everyone has this like stern, prideful feeling about themselves that they have to push this and say that this is what it is. But you got to be humble. I think that's if you want to learn stuff, if you want to understand what this thing is, you got to learn how to listen to people and actually discern and know when not to trust because there is people out there that I'm not gonna name names that totally believe and they may not be an op as far as like knowingly being op, but they've believed the lie so much that they've been spewing it out for so long that they're giving people and misleading people the wrong way because that thing, you know, what when I talk about like God prepared me, my dad was a magician, right? And sleight of hands, distracting the audience to make sure you do what you do and stuff like that. And see, these are the things that I'm talking about is that we do get distracted by certain narratives in this community because people have a certain leverage or maybe a bigger voice. But
Right.
but the fact is that you are being distracted and you're not actually focusing on what is actually going on and what you need to do and what you need not to do. And so um,
Well, tell the viewers what you told me about appliances in your home and because I think that's
um,
important because a lot of people, I really think, I don't think it's limited to that because
uh-huh,
Holly gets hit on the road. on the way
Mhm.
to work, from work, everywhere.
Yeah.
But I do think, I know a few months ago, if stuff was plugged in, I was getting attacked hard. But if I unplugged everything, it would stop.
Mhm.
So I know that for a fact. So I know smart meters and appliances and the Wi-Fi can be used to attack you.
Well, yeah, because you know what what you gotta understand is that yeah, there's other things being utilized as far as like satellites and 5G networks and stuff like that. But they build an infrastructure. So what happens is that the old infrastructure still exists, and so they have a backbone. So these smart meters and all that stuff, and the reason, like that like your phone and all that stuff, and everything that you own, basically. I remember like some kind of person said they will buy all the things that will kill them, right? It was some Rockefeller, I don't know, something like that, right? And it made
Yeah.
me think about stuff. And so, yeah, your appliances, for one, like uh, it's not just it is EMF. See, the thing is like with your LED lights, it's a natural blue light, right? It's a natural blue light, and if you understand the magnetic wave um, diagram and the colors, blue is like a gamma rays, right? So if they have to alter it to make it look white, then you're basically having gamma rays being pointed at you at all times when you're using an LED light. And uh, like I was on a thing about crystals, and I still kind of am because everything we use has crystals in it. And there's I forget the term, but it's when pressure gets put on a crystal, it kind of like it puts out energy, right? Or not energy, like I'm not talking about like woohoo energy, I'm like talking about like literal energy. So like your phone, right? It's a LCD, it has crystal elements on your screen. So that will push stuff out. Like say it's in front of you, you can kind of feel it coming towards you because of that. So everything you have, this is the whole thing I think is that this is why I think it's a bigger picture because basically, like from the food you eat, from the things you purchase, the things you consume for entertainment, is all really utilized to harm you, to do you wrong. And so yeah, everything. And the telephone, there was this guy on YouTube. He's not a targeted individual, stuff like that, but he was talking about how you can basically find anybody with the telephone with not telephone poles with the what do they call it, the now I'm going blank, the
Yeah, just
power,
take your time.
what is the
Power lines.
power line, yeah, the power lines, they can determine where you are with the power lines. And this is old technology, right? Because they kind of like because everything emits energy, right? So like your noise emits energy, so they can determine where you are because of the vibration of your noise from a power line, because the power line is constantly projecting out
Coming,
this
yeah.
radiation
And
always,
that,
and you
and
got
people
smart
don't
meters.
understand 5G has been implemented. We're in a prison planet. They used 5G in World War II to
uh
burn people. They were using it as a weapon in World War II. And people
yeah,
can think
no,
I'm crazy. I had evidence of that, and I can look it up. I don't have it right on
yeah,
hand, but yeah,
yeah.
5G has been around for a long time.
Yeah. Well, this is what I recommend for you, David. It's like I see when we're talking about this stuff, is that like you let people kind of like dictate, try to argue with you about stuff. Like if you know something, you don't have to worry about it. Like I recommend this for everybody. Investigate for yourself. Like if
Yeah.
you want to really know the truth, then you need to know it for yourself. And you can be told with anything you want, but you can find out for yourself. Like I'm super sensitive to the direct energy weapons now because of how long it's been and how many experiments I've done with this stuff, and so I kind of know where the source is now without a meter, right? So but yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
investigate
that's what I
for
was going to
yourself.
ask you. What do you use as far as shielding?
Oh,
Like,
me right now.
like I
So
got this, and, two of these, and
mm,
if I'm getting hit, I will rub the end out. I got
oh,
copper tape, I got
mm,
Mylar, and I got the stuff I put over my head to be cold. That
yeah,
keeps it cool. Now, other than that, most of the stuff I got laser lights.
mm,
Somebody showed me to try laser lights. You know what I'm talking about? The laser
Mhm.
lights and
Yeah.
flashlights that strobe and stuff. But
Mhm.
and don't really use them that much. I use them a little bit, but the flashing thing affects Holly. You know, I don't want her to have a seizure. So,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, you know what?
but they say
That
that
is
stuff
probably
throws it off. I don't know if it's true or
no,
not,
you
though.
know what? Actually, David, I have to tell you, like, don't use that flashing thing because I've done research about a lot of stuff. That
Yeah,
flashing thing is basically you're doing what the job that they want you to be done. Because I will tell you this, as far as shielding, when I first learned about this stuff, I think a lot of it is an op because this stuff, when you look down into it and you research these things, is not conducive to your shielding. Like it actually make it worse. And that flashing will definitely make it worse. I don't know who told you that, but the flashing will make it worse. So for me, as far as shielding goes, I've tried so many things. And so basically right now, um, what I've really found that works 100% and has not failed yet is actually grounding, like actually literally going down and walking on the grass. Now, of course, you can't always ground, right? You can't be out on the grass all the time. And you have to keep moving. Like movement is a definite guarantee to alleviate some of your stuff,
yeah.
is being moving. Because if you move, I don't know why it doesn't hit as hard, but it doesn't. It'll stop, alleviate you. Like those two things I know will work. And then,
And what me and Holly has found works is it won't stop them from hitting you, but it alleviates some of the effects it has on you. That's the lion's mane mushroom.
uh,
There's Aprotropic Smart Drops. It's got 5 different
mm,
mushrooms. You put it under your tongue for a minute, and
mm,
it's alleviated my shocks, and my vibrations are not near as bad as they were
yeah.
before I started taking that stuff. And I've got
Well,
energy. It took my
uh,
brain fog away. It's
yeah.
lion's mane mushroom, turkey tail mushroom,
Uh,
cordyceps, reishi, and shiitake. They're
yeah,
mushrooms
yeah,
found in the woods, extract.
yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. Because I think like it's not only the outside things that you need to do for shielding, but the inside things. Because
Mm-hmm.
we talk about the nano stuff and all that stuff. And the thing is you got to learn your own anatomy. You got to learn your own body, and you got to learn your surroundings. You have to learn everything around you. You got to figure out where the source is before you actually try to put something on you. Because the thing is, like, you can alleviate. Because so like Peloton, I can't say the word, but so
Paleo
I would
paleontologist,
no, not
paleontologist.
not Peloton. It's a effect. It's an effect that happens when a crystal gets hit with energy. See, what you got to understand is that energy is energy, right? If it's kinetic or if it's not. And you have to start. So basically, you got to find the source. You're not, nothing's going to be 100%. You find the source of where it is. And for me, like I use at this moment in time, I have like some crystal things that I use. Hemonite is a grounding stone, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that does alleviate some stuff. Like it makes me feel a little better, right? So I use that. I definitely ground a lot. Um, Cold showers help you mentally because one, like once you submit yourself to if you submit yourself to pain on your
Piezoelectric.
own, well, yeah, well, see, if you submit yourself to something that's uncomfortable for yourself, right? It gets you accustomed to things that you get submitted to that you don't want to happen to you. So when you get submerged in cold water, it puts a shock in your body. And if you're doing it willingly and you stand there and you take it, mentally, that will help you later on when they're doing this to you externally that you have no choice of. And also, it kind of gets the blood flowing and and your circulation going really well. And exercise. Make sure you eat right. Don't eat a bunch of nonsense. Try to eat right. And then, so yeah, but 100% things, I don't know about 100% things.
Oh, I
I'm
don't think
still,
there is 100% thing, but
no, I'm
def
still trying to
definitely.
work
So
on
we
them.
got so far. You mentioned grounding, taking
Yeah.
supplements, the right supplements, because your body's depleted. So lion's mane and
Yeah.
all that. That's
Yeah.
supplements. Um,
Yeah. And you know what? I'll tell you, this is what's funny. So I've been getting these blotches really bad. Like, and I thought they were purple, but actually they were blue. I mean, it just looked horrible. I mean, because they've been hitting me hard, right? And I actually went to the doctor because my blood pressure, my pulse was high, and it was really bad. And then, they don't do anything. But I just I stumbled on iron, right? People need iron in their body, right? and I kind of researched a little bit about iron, and I can't say too much about it because I've only done it a couple days, but it has taken away my blotching as far as like how I was. And if you are iron deficient, it will make you look blue, your skin look blue. But and so like if people that are not targeted and they hear me say that my skin's blue and it doesn't have anything to do with the directed energy weapons and it's just a natural thing that happens, well, yes, that's true. But once I started taking iron, the sensation was also alleviated as far as like the extent of it, as far as like the severity of feelings. So it does something because it puts oxygen in your blood and it kind of causes your blood to circulate different. And you need iron really bad. And what I did notice this though, is I couldn't find iron yesterday very easily. I was looking all over the place. So I started to look at the multivitamins because I used to take multivitamins. I take multivitamins all the time. And I didn't even notice this. But they took the iron out of the multivitamins. Every single multivitamin I looked at, they took the iron out. I'm like, what is this? I finally found an iron supplement. But that makes me think, well, why are they not wanting us to take iron? So right now I'm curious about that. So I'm taking iron to see if this alleviates some of the stuff because it also it goes into the neurons, your dopamine neurons, right? And that's where the most like gathered neurons are, is your dopamine neurons, and that's where iron goes. And iron is not as conductive as copper and aluminum. And I don't know what these nanobots are made out of because they can be made out of metal, they can be made out of other stuff, but it's not as conductive, and it messes with the electrical circuit, electricity of the surge, right? It's still conductive, but not conductive enough to be conductive, like considered a conductive property. And so I have been trying iron, seeing how it works. And maybe the next time I talk to you, I can tell you for sure that it actually would be something that you should highly take to relieve some of the stuff that goes on. So yeah.
Another thing I wanted to tell targets, like if you think you got a B12 deficiency or
Mhm.
D deficiency, don't
Yeah.
go buy the capsules, buy the extract that you put under your tongue, the sublingual. It's a lot more powerful. Because when I was in the hospital that time for 45
Mhm.
days, that
Yeah.
was one thing they said I had. He said, you got the worst B12 deficiency we've ever seen in this hospital.
Mhm.
These weapons drain you of certain vitamins, magnesium, vitamin D,
Yeah.
B12. They drain
Yeah.
you. So
Yeah.
you might think, well, the weapon attack just made me sluggish. No, over a period of time, it's drained you of all your nutrients.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they ain't
Yeah.
even got to hit you over a period of
Yeah.
time. If they get you drained enough, they can just lay off and give you a break, and you'll still think you're being hit because you feel like
Yeah. Yeah.
crap, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah. I definitely know that. So
And Holly's got a question for you, Jason.
yeah.
Jason, when I first started getting hit with microwave radiation, I had enormous amounts of static electricity,
Hmm.
enormous amounts. Like my hair
Hmm.
stood straight up and would
Hmm.
not lay down unless I hairsprayed the hell out of it.
Hmm.
Um, did you get any of that? Did you get any static? Did you notice any
Oh,
static?
yeah. Yeah. I noticed that. Like, right. I noticed. That's good that you mentioned that because you know what? You want to alleviate some of that aftermath of whatever you've been hit. You give yourself a good rub down. I'm not kidding about that. You know how you used to get a static electricity from a balloon when you rubbed it on your head, right? You
Mm-hmm.
use the same trick. Like you just rub yourself, right? Because yeah, you do have static, and you just rub yourself, and you can almost immediately start feeling this relief. Like your clarity starts coming back. You don't feel as tired. You feel not as fatigued. It doesn't last for long, but there is this kind of relief. So yeah, static, yeah, definitely static. And that's why I think that when I was talking about how these things are used and the source of it is mainly the things in your house, because I think like it's not this focused beam on you. What it is that it accumulates in your house and it just overwhelms your environment. And that's why when I talked to you, I think one time I told you to open your door or window because, you know, it causes it to kind of permeate outside of the house and it doesn't filter in and stay in your house. And that can alleviate some stuff. That stuff will help you actually to have some relief too. It actually having some air. Now, I'll tell you this, they have it so that that will be effective for a little bit and then it will stop. So you always have to be willing to change up your routine. You always have to be able to make sure that you don't stick to one thing, because the thing is they'll change it up for you, and you got to be adaptive and you got to try to do new things and you got to keep on doing it until something works for a little while. And so that's what I
Yeah,
recommend with that.
when I was lucky enough to get to stay at a shelter, or when I would find my little spot I would sleep in every morning,
Mhm.
uh, I was walking the same way to go try to find something to eat every morning, all that. And then
Mhm.
Ti told me, be spontaneous. Don't go the
Mhm.
same way every morning. And
No,
if your
don't.
mind's thinking go right, go left.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Try to
yeah,
your own foot. So
yeah,
be spontaneous in your thinking. Try to do opposite of what your thinking is, because remote no monitoring can read your thoughts. And then one more
yeah.
question I want to touch on is
Yeah.
like lately my V2K has been messing with me. The other day it told me to pick the crock pot full of food up and throw it in the garbage, and it was
Mm,
poisoned. And I hear voices like my wife's voice, my sister's voice. Have you experienced V2K?
you know,
Not people's V2K don't have to be somebody's voice. It could be
no.
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, I have, but that's why I keep on emphasizing you have to know yourself very much and
right.
have discernment, and like yeah, because the thing is like I do, but okay, so you know what I do? I tell you this. I started getting to the point, like my first initial thought I had, I never went by it. Never went by it. I would choose not to choose that thought. Like what I did would be like analyze that thought. Is that what I would do? Is that something I should do? Will it turn out good for me? Like you analyze your thoughts. Don't just be impulsive. You can't be impulsive. You have to be rational when those things happen. So when it gets in your head, you got to question it. Don't act on it. Pause and just take a moment and realize and be rational. Is that what you want? Is that what you really think? Is that really the situation that's going on? Like you got to do that, because you know what? You have to be the regulator of these things too, because we have to take responsibility that these things are happening to us, and how we can relieve ourselves has to be from us. Like we got to do something for ourselves, and that takes work. It takes a lot of stuff that you have to do for yourself to make sure that you're okay. And one of those things is understanding who you are and being comfortable with who you are, and don't take things personal. Like really, like for the most part, try not to take things personal, because if you do, it gets you all the time. And pride, make sure your pride is checked, make sure that you're humble, make sure you're still focused on who's important, that's God. And be grateful about everything. Like be grateful that you have a girlfriend, be grateful you have a house on your head, over a roof over your head. Just those simple things. But yeah, I don't normally go on my first initial thought, and I question that before I will act. And if it's not something that I would do, or that it's not rational to me, I won't do it. So that's what I say.
And you
But
said something powerful before we started this meeting, and that was you said, David, I don't care what nobody thinks, and you got to stop caring what people thinks or how
yeah,
because and that is very powerful, because a lot of times when we're being gang stalked, that's
uh,
what we're thinking. Why are they doing this? What have they been told about
yeah,
me? Or you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? And that
yeah.
and I struggle with it. I struggle with it, because I'm like, man, why do these people keep doing this to us? Why can't they just leave us alone and let us have a normal life?
Yeah. Well, you know what? Like, this is the thing is like who do you really have to impress? Like, not really anybody. Like
And it's not even about
your own
impressing.
responsibility.
It's like you want to change what they've been told about you, like what they're thinking
Yeah,
about
no.
when they look at you and all that.
And that's why you have to say no. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because the thing is like this, is that is that
I
once,
agree.
because
Mhm.
everyone has insecurities, everyone has like these things, and everybody wants to be liked. Like I don't want to be disliked. But the thing is like you got to stop. Like it's pointless. For one, you're constantly tortured. Who do you really need to impress? So you got to be
Nobody.
the only thing that keeps me like the only rules I have as far as like how I conduct myself with people is what God created for me to do. Like I pray every day for the fruit of the spirit, and I pray every day for humble to be gentle and to be gentle and kind. And I pray every day to be slow to anger and quick to listen. These things I do all the time because those things are important to me. What people think about me, not important to me. What people, uh, uh, my insecurities, you gotta let them go because they're gonna use them against
What
you. So you
brought
gotta let
you,
them go.
what
Huh?
brought you back to God? You said you were mad at God and
Oh,
you,
yeah. Okay.
what
So,
brought you back
well,
to God? Because I know you have a good relationship with him now. So you had
yeah.
walked away before. So what brought you
Uh,
back?
well, yeah. I basically didn't even know if he existed for a long time. I was kind of questioning that, and I'm a really kind of analytical kind of individual. So, 2016, really, I never really read the Bible, and then I finally read the whole Bible, and all these questions I used to have were answered, and that kind of gave me this aha moment. But even at that point, like I still didn't really have a relationship with God. I was just religious, basically knowing God exists and trying to do all these religious laws. And it wasn't until like 8 months, 9 months ago that I said, because I never really prayed. All I would do was say thank you at night, and that's it. I wouldn't say anything else. I wouldn't say anything else. I just say thank you. And I thought that was good enough. Then I started 8 months ago, I started talking to God and just praying to him. And over that moment, like my friend, she has seen a dramatic change in me. Like who I was 8 months ago compared to who I am now is greatly different. And nothing has changed as my targeting. It's all been the same. But who I am is entirely different. My patience is different. The way I handle myself is different.
That's
My
good.
demeanor is different. Everything is different. Like, and I don't need nobody to verify or justify my belief or to say to me that God is real because I know God is real from my own experience. There's nothing that can explain the certain things because I've tried to change on my own because everyone recognizes their own bad behavior and everyone doesn't want to continue to do it. And I tried really hard to not do the things that I didn't like about myself, and I couldn't. And it wasn't until I started talking to God and actually talking to God, asking God for these things. And, I don't pray for blessings. I don't pray for things to stop from me. What I do pray for is for him to give me strength. I pray for all the internal things that's required from me because, that's the thing is like, how I want to live my life and how I want to be remembered from here on out is that I actually shown what God is. Like, I want to be a representative of a person. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to be, that judgmental
You want your
individual
light
that,
to shine when you walk around, basically.
yes, yes, I want to treat people with gentleness and kindness and love and compassion and give them grace. Like, I want him to give me grace. And so, you've not seen it sometimes. Like, I've been in those TI talks sometimes and they've gone after me. And the patience and the calmness that I exhibited, that was a proof of God's existence. Because, your natural reaction would be to go back and to get at him and try to say something because you pride or whatever you get into or you don't want to be talked bad to. But no, that's it. That's it. So yeah, I'm very grateful about that because I will tell you this. I didn't always like who I was, but I do now, and that's all that matters. So
Holly's got a question. And then
yeah.
I got one more question and we'll end it.
All right.
Hi, Jason. Great interview, by the way. Thank you.
But
Um,
dang.
I get hit by lasers via
Mhm,
drone
mhm,
through the roof, no matter what room I'm in. When I'm
yeah,
at work, they hit me through the roof.
yeah.
And employees will ask me, what is that? Do you have hives? What's wrong with you?
Uh-huh.
And because it's a burn, it's an immediate burn
Yeah.
and it comes out of nowhere. Do you experience any of that?
Not really. But what's funny about that you talked about the drone thing? I've never really noticed a drone until like a couple of weeks ago. There was actually one like outside the house. I was taking out the recycling, whatever. And I did notice for the first time a drone in my proximity. So, they're keying up on me right now. They really are. They're doing a lot right now and they're trying to do something. And I don't know. I'm not Superman, so I don't know what the future will hold as far as like how I'll react or whatever. But Yeah, they're doing stuff to me right now. They're doing stuff to me.
Well,
I have to
sounds
tell
like
you
you're
this.
staying strong though at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, what the thing is that I've noticed, and this is not a prideful statement, but I've noticed this since this whole thing has happened. They have tried to limit my uh contact with people in the community. They've tried to obstruct things and try to stop things because every time I try to get into a community, like a TI community, like a local one or whatever, something wonky would happen and it would fall apart. And, you know, so uh, they don't want me to talk for some reason. I don't know what it is about me that they don't want me to
Yeah,
talk.
they want you isolated.
Yeah, but I mean, like they don't want me to have a voice, basically. I mean, they want everyone to be isolated, but you notice, because you know everything that you use, like your phone and all that stuff, it's all, it's all messed with. And if they don't want something from, if they don't want anything out from you, they'll basically they'll do anything they can to not get that out. And so, you know, and I noticed that some people have some large voices, and they got a lot of little time on other places that are not necessarily TI stuff. And I question that because, you know, is it because that that why are they allowing that? That's why I question is like, why is that being allowed? Because they don't want this out so that the mass
I
populace will be aware of it to the point where they'll have a revolt. They don't want it out. So I think like
the one
there's
reason
something.
you know why I think they're allowing it now.
Yeah.
The grid's already set. It's too late.
Oh, well, yeah, you know
And
what?
in
I was
my
thinking about
opinion,
that
you
too.
better find a higher power or some
Yeah.
way to cope with it because you know, shielding's good and all, but there's more than just weapons that goes on in this. There's psychological warfare and all that. But I really
Yeah.
think the grid is set. They're not worried
Oh,
no
yeah.
more.
You know what? I just mentioned that like on X because you know I'm getting physical symptoms and I used to not get them. And I'm noticing a lot of people getting physical symptoms going on. And they used to not do that. And they're hitting me hard and they don't, it doesn't seem like they care. But see, the thing is that it's gotten to the point like, hey, you're right. I think the grid has been set because you can't even trust when you go to a medical establishment that they're going to take care of you right. Because I went in there and they were telling me some nonsense, telling me something about my adrenal glands. Little did they know I knew about the Manhattan Project, and that's what they were telling the people then about their adrenal glands. But they were giving them plutonium at the same time, saying it
Yep.
was their adrenal glands. And see, I'm getting
And
hit with the same kind of process, right? I'm getting hit with radiation, and
and Bill
they're
Clinton
not, and
apologized for that. For anybody that's
yeah,
doubting what he says, Bill
yeah,
Clinton
and
apologized.
and so like it fits the narrative. They're going to tell me I have adrenal gland problems, but really, basically, you know, but they're not going to tell me my actual problem because you know I have these physical symptoms, and they're trying to tell me it's this and that, and I'm like, no, it's not. And they just do some nonsense. I went to this one ER. They actually brought out a breathalyzer, right? And then I mean, it was nonsense stuff. And so, like, I really think that the grid is set. You can't trust the system, and you do need God because that's the only person that's going to get you out of this. That's the only person that's going to get you to be able to stay who you are and to actually you can really rely on. So, yeah, I do
Yeah,
think
cause see, I'm at 1,700 subscribers, and I started off, man. Like I'm not even worried about subscribers, but that's how I went about my channel. But I'm
mm,
amazed that they let me get that far, because in
yeah,
2018, I can give you 3 different links to 3 different YouTube channels of mine that are up. I was
mm,
homeless and I would make
mm,
videos and they would hack my YouTube. I couldn't get in it no more. I'd have to
yeah,
create a new one. And
yeah,
if you're interested, I will send you the links. I got videos in Alabama in 2018 and in Florida and in New Orleans. So,
yeah,
but they haven't done that this time. Not to say that they won't,
yeah.
but you know, that's why I think, well, it's already set. There's nothing we can do about it. So that's why they're letting me do this. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Plus,
yeah, well, no,
everybody
yeah.
thinks we're
There's
crazy.
no, you know, like I don't like it when people try to prophesize that Jesus is coming back. But see, the thing is what you got to know is that it's not just what the Bible says. You got to see what the Bible says. And we are seeing signs of what the Bible says at this moment in time. And so the reason that, like, we were talking about, like, that those that prayed and walk away from God because they didn't stop the thing. But if this is about the second coming of Jesus Christ, it won't be stopped. So the best thing to do is to find comfort that he's with you and he's present. He's going to keep you. He's going to give you endurance and give you strength and to keep moving and to understand that this may not be his will for it to stop because he's coming back to do judgment on everyone. And if you're a righteous person and you believe in God and that your faith is in him and everything like that, you're going to be okay. And eternity is way longer than what we have right now.
And Jesus
And
said, in the world, you shall have tribulation, but I've
he
overcome the
will.
world.
Yeah, he never promised that we wouldn't. He never promised that we wouldn't. That's
Right.
why I don't understand when people say, like, all these bad things happen to them, why they say to themselves, "Oh, I give up on God." Well, God never promised you. He promised you a lot of things. He promised that he would be with you. He promised he would take care of you. He didn't promise that you wouldn't suffer. I mean, Paul, he got beheaded. Let me tell you, like, and he wrote a lot of the Bible, the New Testament. So yeah, and if that happens to him, what makes us any better? We're
Yeah.
not
Peter
apostles.
got hung upside down on a cross.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
We're not apostles. We are a child of God, and God loves us equally. But still, like, just be grounded in God and have a relationship with him and be assured that he's enough. Just understand that he's enough for one. Because if you understand that he's enough, then all these other things may not be as big of a deal. And yeah, it does suck because sometimes it's
And
hard.
plus, in
And
the Bible, it says and there'll come a time when people call bad good and good
good, bad.
bad. And you
Yeah,
look at these gang stalkers who get off on torturing people,
yeah, yeah,
and they think it's good. They think
yeah,
they're vigilantes and they're doing the right thing, but don't know they've been lied to about everybody they're torturing.
yeah.
So,
Right. Yeah, that's true.
and I got one more question and we'll end it. This is a great
Yeah.
interview, man. With me and your story, we have a lot in common, especially about the first of it when you were getting chased around and what
Hmm.
you thought was going on and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, man, I could relate big time.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you think this targeting program, what do you think is going to come of it in the future? Is there an end to it, or do you think it goes on forever? And what's your advice to other targets in general?
Well, honestly, I don't want to be a bearer of bad news about this, but I don't think it's going to end because honestly, like you said, the grid is down now. It's already set. This is going to be a mass scale thing. This is worldwide. What they're going to be doing, and then people talk about the transhuman stuff, and and it will end because God will be coming back, and it will end. I don't know, eschatology is kind of it's kind of one of those things that it's hard to talk about with people because they have one view and another view. And so I don't know when he's going to be here, if it's a past tribulation or before tribulation, but just endure and have strength and have solace that in due time you will have your treasure in heaven. And that with this stuff, like, it's not good. Like, and it's heartbreaking and you don't understand, and I wish I could tell you that it was going to end. I really do. It, like, burns my heart to say that it won't, but I really feel like if this wasn't a bigger picture thing, then yeah, we would have justice. We would have justice if this was like the Manhattan Project and stuff, and all those other projects that they've had, and they've gotten lawsuits and people got legal recourse from that and everything. I would say that, but I don't. I feel like the system itself is a part of it, and any lawsuit that's ever attempted won't succeed. It just won't, even if they have good intentions. Because if you don't notice that this is not, they're not for us anymore. They're not. They're for whatever control and everything. And if you read all the stuff in the Bible about Revelations and Daniel and all that other stuff, like these things, like they want a system just like China. They want a social credit score. They want to energy harvest us. They want to control us. Why do you think they locked us up in 2020 and put us all in our houses and put masks on us? Well, one, they put us in a kill box with
Hey,
each
don't say
time.
no. Hey, Jason, you can't say the V word.
Huh?
You can't say nothing about that
Oh,
on YouTube.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
it'll
yeah,
get me kicked off.
okay, yeah, okay. Well, you might not want to put that in there then. You can edit this, right?
Oh, no, just don't say nothing about it.
Oh,
You're good. You
yeah,
ain't said the
well,
wrong words yet. I
yeah. Well, anyway,
apologize for stopping you, but yeah, YouTube
yeah,
censors certain stuff.
yeah. So no, I'm not about that. But yeah, this system is not set up for us to succeed. It's set up for us to be enslaved. So I don't feel like it's going to end. I feel like we were just the testing pot to figure out what's going on and how to get it as good as it can get. I do have to give you some, like, I have to say this though, it's technology still. And if it's technology, it still has a fail state. Like everything cannot be 100%. So you will sometimes get some relief. Sometimes you'll get some breaks. Sometimes you'll be able to figure out something because there's a fail state with other stuff. And yeah, they may figure it out, but it won't ever be 100% perfect. Why do you think that they're doing all this stuff in the first place and putting everything out to make sure that they have all their corners covered? Because it's not 100%. I mean, so yeah, it's not going to stop. And I don't want people to think that means that hope is not there, because you just got to find hope in other things. And I find my hope and solace in my relationship with Jesus, and I know that I'll be with him and I will be at peace at one point in my life. And I just deal with what I deal with now. And you know what? I'm not giving up on things. And maybe it does come out sometime or another. I don't want to say 100% that it won't, but I don't see it happening. But I just am grateful for what I do have. And that's all I have to say. Like, you just have to be grateful for
All
things.
right. I'm gonna get ready to end this. Thank you, Jason, man.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Jason.
And you came
yeah.
along. You got good ways of dealing with it. You're a very strong-minded person, you know.
Um,
You're totally 100% better compared to what you was a few weeks ago. I don't know if you was
right. Yeah,
going through something or
yeah,
what, but you're like, man, if you don't hear from me, something, you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So
yeah.
I
That
really
was,
appreciate you coming on here and giving your input, because it takes a lot to talk about it. It takes a lot out
yeah.
of you.
Yeah, well, like I told you, like they do sometimes catch me up, and actually, I still don't know what their objective is, if it is actually to do something like that, because they are going hard on me. But if you can't control something, all I can do is pray about it and see what happens. And if it's God's will, I'll be around for a while, and and I have no issue dying, So, I mean, that's not my fear in life. So I'm just grateful, and thank you for the interview. And
No problem. I'm gonna stop recording and then we'll say our goodbyes.
Thank you.
all right, yeah, thank you.